Too as well. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. Hello, hi, everybody. Okay, let's see, Milande. Let's take a few questions from my TikTok, because I think I'll do both. Hi, YouTubers. If you can see me, say hello. Anybody on YouTube can see me? Are you on YouTube? Who's on YouTube? Anybody on YouTube? My network. Somebody's saying my network is bad. Milande, can you hear me?
Bonjour.
Hi. Do you have a question? Wow. I can't even, I don't speak French, unfortunately. I'll just drop you. I don't speak French, so I don't understand French. I apologize. Let's see, what other question? African Giant, do you have any question for us today? Hi, YouTubers. No, my fellow YouTube followers. Hi. I can see you. I can see they're answering here. So if you have any questions, you can type on YouTube, and then I'll pin your comment over here, and then we'll answer those questions. Today, I'm just doing questions. And then if you're DV 2025, we're going to have a live for DV 2025. Now we are DV 2026 for the people who are waiting for the results on May 3rd. So if you're waiting for the results, then we'll take your questions, but don't ask me about embassy performance and like, why haven't I gotten my 2NL and all that? Yeah, that's going to be another video. Today, we're just talking about hosting, and we'll talk about any questions you have before you check the results Saturday. African Giant.
Hello.
Hi. What's your question?
Actually, my question is,
what
are like the weekly first?
What is what?
When we get the results, like on Saturday, we just have to first wait for the visa bulletin to submit our after the DS 260.
No, you don't wait for the visa. No, you don't wait for the visa bulletin to submit your DS260. You submit your DS260 first. So when you get the results, you have to complete your DS260, and then you check the visa bulletin to see when your number is current. And then that way you know when your 2NL, like your 2NL will be coming shortly after the visa bulletin is current.
All right. The next question is, when I get the 2NL, so like how long can I wait before I go for a medical checkup?
So once you get for your 2NL, it just depends on your embassy. So like if you watch Rumbi's story in Zimbabwe, they schedule you for the interview first. And then after you get your visa, if they issue you a visa, then you'll go get your medical done. But then if you are like in, for example, you are in Kenya, then you get your 2NL, then you have to schedule your medicals right away. So that like, especially if your interview is going to be like in September. So you have to schedule so that you get your medicals done, because you don't want to go there and then you get your visa, but then your medical delays the issuance of the visa. So you have to make sure your medical is done. So it's important, like after you get your 2NL, you just go ahead and schedule your medical. And usually they have the instructions how to do that. And the instructions will be in your 2NL.
Okay.
Okay.
So what's of the issue of hosting?
So hosting, I'm going to talk about hosting like in general. So let me take a few questions and then we'll cover hosting when I talk about the hosting. Okay, let's see who. No problem. Let's see who's. Let's take one question and then I'm going to come to YouTube. YouTube, if you have any questions, again, you can type over there. Then I'll just pin your comment and then I'm going to answer the question. Kabaka, what's your question?
No, my question is, NAFULA. Okay, first of all, it's not a question, but this address that is here, NAFULA Connect. What's this? Is it dot?
Yeah.
Or what's this?
Yeah, it's nafulaconnect.com, but then with TikTok, they don't like when you post a website. So I put a comma there just so that they don't, like it doesn't reject it. Sometimes like if you put a website, they'll delete it. Like even if you put it like in a comment section, if it's a website, they delete it. But if you just go to nafulaconnect.com, so the comma is supposed to be a dot.
No, my second question is, if one has got to win the DV, will that person, will you give that winner the host address?
Yes, if they apply for, so if you win, you go to nafulaconnect.com, and I've updated the packages. I put the package, I forgot, like after I spoke to you guys on Sunday, then I completely forgot to update the packages on the website. Now we have packages there. So if you need me to help you with your DS260, there's a package there. If you just need the address, then there's a package there. Usually, like if you apply for hosting, I add you into a group. So that way, like I know, like I add you with people from the same country as you are. I try to do that so that like at least you have the same questions, you go through the same process and requirements and stuff like that. So I try to do that as best as I can, but I always it's not a guarantee, because sometimes you get like countries where people don't play DV lottery, so it's like 3 people or 4 people applying.
So if I get to fill the DS260, if I get to fill in the hosting, you as well get the address for the host.
Yes. So the address goes in your DS260. And then also you'll need the address at the embassy. So if you go to the embassy, then you say, I'll host you. And then it depends. Some people, they complete the DS260 with me, but then they decide to go get hosted by somebody else. And if that's the case, then when I get their documents, their green card and their social, then I send it to them, whatever they are. They just give me the new address and then I just send it to them.
Let me get this straight. Huh? Which one comes first? Like, for example, now I get the results today, and I'm supposed to fill the DS260 as early as possible. Now, there's that option whereby I will need a host address. Where will I get it if I tried communicating to and maybe there was a late response?
So there's with the DS260, again, I'm going to talk about the DS260 shortly, but you don't need to complete it immediately. Whoever is telling everybody you need to complete your DS260 immediately, they're lying to you. You don't have to, because you don't get an interview, the DV 2026, you don't get an interview until October of this year. We're in May. So no rush, unless you have a low case number, and in that case, you don't have to complete it in May. You can even do it in June. So there's no rush to complete the DS260. Because if you complete it and then you complete it the wrong way, then you won't get a visa. So you'd rather just wait and then complete the DS260 than complete the DS260 quickly, and then you end up like not getting a visa.
All right. No other question.
Okay, no problem. Okay. Let me see if I can get questions on YouTube. Let me see. Hi, Brenda. Hi. Whoever is saying hi. Let me see. So somebody is asking, Bernice is asking, please, my question is, if you host, do you help your host in search of a job? I guess, like, do you help a DV lottery winner, because I'm the host? So when you get here, yeah, you need a job to pay your bills. And I know in America, you're new, so you're not able, to find a job for yourself. So we'll help you get your social security number. We'll help you get your state ID, and then we'll help you look for a job. We'll send you the appropriate websites. You apply for a job if you need any questions or if you need any rides to your job. Then we do that. So we'll help you like get a job. So, and then you'll ask like, okay, how quick can I get a job? A lot of people will be like, how quick do I get a job? So you can get a job depending on when your social security number comes in. So you get one person who gets here today, and then next week or in 4 days, they send the social security number. So that person is going to get a job quicker because they have the social security number. But then if you have like somebody who's getting a social after like a month, or in Steve's case was like, I think 2 months, at least it was. So if it takes 2 months, then you'll have 2 months with no job, because in America, you cannot work with a social security number. That number is used to like pay your taxes and all that. So no employer will hire you without a social security number. So you need that. So I'll help you find a job, but then I'm not going to tell you that you get a job in a week, or you get a job in 3 weeks, or you get a job in a month, because I don't know when they'll send your social security number. Sometimes, like now with the immigration, the way the state of immigration is right now, it takes a hot minute. So you just have to be patient. And here, there's no way, like you'll say, like I got to America and I didn't get a job. Here, you'll get a job. There's plenty of jobs. You just have to pick whatever job you want. So yes, Bernice, I'll help you get a job if you win the green card. All right. Somebody is asking here, how do you know you're successful with the DV? So I think they're asking, how will they know they won the green card lottery? So you have to go to the website that you use to apply for the green card. So once you go to that website, then you have to have your confirmation number. Once you applied, or when you applied for the green card lottery, they give you a confirmation number. So you'll need that confirmation number. If you lost it, or maybe you had a phone and something happened to it and you had it saved in there, don't worry about it. As long as you have the email address that you used to apply for the green card lottery, you can go on that page and then you can click forgot confirmation number or whatever, lost confirmation number, and then it will allow you to retrieve that confirmation number. So you'll need a confirmation number to check the results. You'll need your last name. So your last name is the name, like if you applied for the green card lottery, the name that came and then there's a comma. So that name and then a comma, that name is your last name. So you'll need that last name, your confirmation number, and your year of birth, not month, not day, just the year of birth. You'll need that. And then after that, you have like some verification, some numbers, the letters that come at the bottom to just make sure like you're not a robot, you're a real person. And then you'll be able to see your results. So how do you know you won or you're successful? If you open that page, you click submit, and you see a long letter. You know how a letter looks like? If you see a letter, anything more than 6 lines, you know you won the green card lottery. Because if you do not win, it will say, your entry has not been selected at this time, So you'll just see has not, and make the not is NOT. I think it's in bold. So it will tell you you've not been selected. So that's how you find out. If you get a letter, you won the green card. If you just get a bunch of lines that says you've not been randomly selected, then you did not win. So that's how you know. All right, let's see. Somebody's asking how to apply for hosting. I'm going to go over that because I put it on my list. I'm going to talk about hosting in general. So that way I just speak about the hosting one time, because now if I answer you, then I have to do it again when somebody asks the same question. All right, let me see another question. Somebody said they feel like they're going to win. Yeah, good luck. Like for some reason, like when I applied for the green card, if you're going to win, you just feel there's something in you that tells you, like, you just have this feeling that, okay, I'm going to win. And I've never gotten the message you've not been randomly selected. So I don't know how it feels. I applied twice and both times I won. So I've never had the feeling where I check and then I've not won. So, but I wish you all the best. So let's see. So somebody's asking about if I can save an average of 3 months rentals and would like to come with family, will you be able to help look for accommodation? So accommodation is a little bit different in the United States. In Africa, you just go to somebody, like if you have an empty apartment, you just go to the landlord. You're like, I have money for deposit and money for this. And it's a done deal. They give you like an apartment. In the US, it's not like that. In the US, it's a little bit different. How does that work? So here sometimes, like especially in New York, or if you live in good cities, usually like apartments, you just don't get them like that. You get them and they have to be under a lease. And if it's a lease, it means you have to have a work history. So because you don't have a work history in America, then you run into a problem because they need to see like you have a job to pay this apartment. They don't want to give you an apartment and then 2 months you're like, I can't pay my rent. So they have to make sure you have a job. Secondly, some apartments will run your credit. So if you have like you need your credit history. And I talked about the credit like in my other videos. What is a credit? A credit is like, so you are then after I give you $10 on a Wednesday, Maybe on Friday, I tell you, give me, you told me you'll pay me on Friday, and then on Friday you give me my $10 back. Guess what? If you ask me on a Monday, you're like, hey, Nafula, can you give me $100 or $50? I'll give you this $50 because the $10 you are able to pay back. So then I give you the $50. And then after you tell me you're going to pay me in a week, and then in a week, I get my $50 back. If you come back and ask me for $100 or $1,000 and say you pay back, same thing. You pay me back, and then you come back and say, okay, now can you help me with $5,000? I'm going to give you the $5,000. Why? Because you've been paying back whatever you asked me. So you're building a credit history. So credit history means whatever you borrow, you pay on time. And on time, I insist and underline and bold on time. Because if you pay late, it hurts your credit. So you need to have a credit history. You cannot have a credit history if you've just arrived in America, like you're a new immigrant in America. You don't have a credit history because you've never worked, you've never borrowed anybody money over here. So if I have to get you an apartment, I run into a challenge where you don't have employment, you have the money in the bank, but you don't have employment and you do not have a credit history. So if you don't have those two, what can happen? You can get somebody who has a credit history in the United States. Like if I have a good credit history, then you can get me, and then I'll have to go co-sign your lease. When I co-sign a lease, what does that mean? So if I co-sign a lease for you and you get an apartment in the United States, and next month you're not able to pay that apartment, I'm also liable as much as I don't live, as much as that apartment is not mine, as much as I don't live there. The fact that you co-sign in America, if you co-sign for anything, you owe that money as much as the person you co-signed the money for. So I cannot take that risk if I don't know you. Like if you're just from whatever country. So you tell me, okay, I have 3 months rent, get me an apartment, help me sign my lease, and then I'll pay on time. And then after 3 months, because I don't know who you are, it's just like hosting DV lottery winners. You host somebody, you don't know how they turn out in a month or two or whatever, then they turn out to be somebody who they pretended to be somebody else. So that's why I'm saying you might tell me that, and then in 3 months you don't pay, or you decide to move out of that apartment. Then I'm stuck to pay the remainder of your lease. Because if you sign a lease for a year in America, if you stay only 2 months, you'll still have to pay for the 10 months according to your lease. So I don't want to be liable for that. I don't want to do that. So can I help you get an apartment for you? Absolutely not, for the reasons I just explained. Because unless if somebody I know, or if you come here and you're like, I have rent for a year. So even if I sign a lease for you for a year and you are going to pay the rent for a year in advance, then that's good. I know I'm never going to get in trouble. But then if you're going to just pay 3 months and then my name is going to be on the lease, then we're not doing that. I cannot do that. All right, let's see another question. So somebody's asking, is it possible to host to any other states other than New York or whatever? Like if you want to go to Massachusetts or you want to go to California? No. Why? I say multiple times, I'm a DV lottery host. I am not a travel agency. So what you're looking for is a travel agency. So contact a travel agency and tell them where you want to stay, what state. They'll help you do all that. I'm not a travel agency. I just host DV lottery winners. So if you don't want to come to New York, then I cannot host you. Because who has the time in America? Who has the time in America to look for people apartments? Like, oh, I want to go to Boston. I'm calling Boston to find where you're going to go. Oh, I want to go to California. I feel like if you don't have a host, it's just like beggars cannot be choosers. You don't have a host anyway. Why are you choosing to go to a state when you don't have a host to begin with? What I suggest is like you can come to whatever host, and then after you're stable in America in 3 months, in 6 months, you can move to any state that you like. But then in the beginning, if you do not have a host and you want to choose the state that you want to go to, I guarantee you it's going to be so difficult for you to find somebody. And then the second part, do you have the ability this time to host a couple alone or hosting a family? I can host a couple. Like if I've hosted couples before. So if you're a husband and a wife, I can host you. But then if you have kids, I do not host kids. Absolutely zero. Like There's no exceptions, no discussion, no nothing. Like if you come, for example, I tell you you're gonna come to, I host you, and then maybe you decide, oh, I want to be shady, I'm gonna bring my kids, and then when she comes at the airport, my kids will be there, and me, what is she gonna do? What I'm gonna do is like, I'm not gonna take you home. You'll have to find an apartment, you'll have to find a hotel, you'll have to find an Airbnb, because now you've broke the terms of our agreement. If I'm hosting you and your wife, you're just gonna come, you and your wife. And why don't I host kids? I've explained multiple times. It's liability. If I host you in my house, a kid falls from the second floor. Guess who's liable for that? It's me, because I'm the adult, they're kids. I had to make sure I put stuff in place to make sure like this kid doesn't get hurt. But then, like, you know, for an adult, if you're going to fall out of a second floor, then what brains are you using? You know, like if I'm not going to jump out of the window, but then the kid will see a ball down there and they'll be like, okay, I can jump and go grab that ball. And then guess what? Then I'm liable. I don't want to deal with that. That's one. Number two, people are asking, what if they're not kids? They're like 16, 13-year-old. Can you host those? I cannot host those. Why? Because I'm hosting other people who are strangers. All the DV lottery winners, I don't know them. They're not my family. They're strangers. So they're people, and I say, some people pretend to be who they're not, and then when they get here, they start acting crazy. So what if I host your 13-year-old, and then they're like, hey, you know what? Steve touched me, and it's a girl. Steve touched me. Oh, Elia did this to me. Do you think they're going to believe Elia, or they're going to believe that 13-year-old? So I'm putting the other people that I'm hosting in danger by hosting that kid. So I don't want to be liable for that either. Another thing is like about schools. Over here, to enroll a kid in a school is a lot of work. Here, kids are not like Africa, where some parents don't even know what grade the kids are in. The kid will be like, I finished class 8. The parent is like, you finished when? They don't even go there. Here is different. You have to be involved. There's a lot of school activities. Sometimes if you live close to the school, then you have to either drive your kid to school, or you have to walk them there. So you are working. Who's going to be taking this kid to school? Another thing, if your kid gets sick and then they have to go to the hospital, you don't drive, you can't take a bus. Guess who you're calling? You're calling NAFULA to come drive your kid to the hospital. That's extra. And I have my own stuff that I'm dealing with. So I can't do that. So that's why I don't host kids. It's not because like I don't like kids. I have kids myself. And the reason why I know all this is because I have kids, and I know how kids are expensive in America. Kids are a lot of work in America. Unless they are 12 or 13, you cannot leave them alone in the house. You can't leave them by themselves. So if your kid is 11, you can't let them sleep alone in the house and go to work. If something happened to this kid, then you're in trouble. So you have to get somebody like a nanny to watch a kid, or put them in a daycare somewhere, which is expensive. Daycare in New York, the cheapest you can get around here is like $250 a week. So $1,000 a month you're paying for daycare, and you're making minimum wage job. So then do the math. So hosting kids is a lot. And I don't host people also who want to bring the kids after 6 months or before 6 months. Why? It's tough as it is to just get stable, for you to have your own apartment, it's a lot of work before you can get your own place. So I don't guarantee like I'm going to give you that ability to be stable in 6 months to go get your kid. And maybe if you're not stable and you're not able to get an apartment, and then you want to go get that kid, and then NAFULA is over here saying, oh, you can't get this kid, I don't host kids. You'll feel bad. You'll hate me. You're like, okay, now she doesn't want me to bring my kid. So I don't play that. So either principal applicant or principal applicant and the spouse. Or if there's a principal applicant and maybe they have a kid who's like, they applied when they're 20, they come here, they're 21, they can work or they're adults. So like if they do something, they're held accountable as adults, not killed, not children, not nothing. So yeah, that's about that. So I can host couples. I can't host a family with kids. All right, let's see another question. So somebody's asking, how much is hosting Are the people you host supposed to pay upon arrival, or you give them a chance to start working, then pay? That's usually like hosting issues as itself is discussed after you've been accepted into a hosting. So one, for right now, you're just gonna have either pay for the address to get the address to complete your DS260, and then or you pay to help, like if you don't know how to complete DS260. I understand some people live in different countries where they don't speak English, or some people just don't know how to, like they don't trust themselves to complete the form correctly. If they want me to help, then you can go on my website, go get a package for completing the DS260 on nafulaconnect.com. And then if you're on TikTok, like you can see, I have pinned a sticker over there, nafulaconnect.com. I just put a comma so that, like, you know, TikTok doesn't drop it. Yeah, so you can just go there. About hosting, all I can say is I've never turned anybody away because of their financial or whatever situation. We try to make everything work out. So you should be fine. Don't worry about that. Now you have to worry one thing, winning, and the second thing, completing your DS260. That's it. All right, let's see. Let's see this. I'm in Qatar. Can I be scheduled for an interview? Lastly, for my case, I don't know how to do DS260. I just talked about that. DS260, if you don't know how to complete the DS260, you need my help. I can help you to do that, only that you have to pay me for my time. And then if you're in Qatar, so if you win the green card lottery, you can do an interview in any country that you can establish residency. If you live in Qatar, I don't know you guys what the embassies over there, UAE over there, maybe Abu Dhabi, whatever, Saudi Arabia, embassies, whatever. As long as you work there, you can establish some form of residency. Then you can do an interview there. Or the second option, where you're not supposed to establish residency, is your place of birth, like your home country. If you stay there like more than 6 months and you were born in a certain country, because you're a citizen of that country, you can just walk in and get your interview. You can fly in there and get your interview done. But then a lot of people make the mistake of like flying to a certain country to do their interview. Sometimes that will hurt you. Like if they feel like, sometimes, you know, US doesn't like you to give you an added, like a higher advantage over somebody else, because you have the money, you can fly to Rwanda, and somebody who's poor is stuck in Kenya. So you're getting advantage because you have money. Sometimes, like, yeah, so you have to establish some form of residency. How do you establish that? Either you work there, like you said, you're in Qatar. So if you've lived there, then you can do your interview there, you work there. Or you get married to somebody over there. Or from that country, you can go there, you got married. So yeah, you can do your interview. Or you can move to that country a few months before your interview. So don't fly there and then just arrive today and then go to the embassy tomorrow or next week. Make sure you fly to that country, stay there for a couple months to show like, okay, now I was living here, so I'm here for an interview. So that should be fine. All right, let's see another question. Let me see. So thanks for the info. In case I'm randomly selected, I may not have the financial muscle to pursue the whole process with all the 6 dependents. Can there be any option for me to process alone? Yes, you can. So if you applied as a family, maybe you applied as a family of 2, as a family of 5, or whatever. So if you decide that you're not, so this one you have to decide before you complete your DS260. So before you complete your DS260, decide if you want to go with them or not. If you do not want to go with them, you still need to add all those kids and your spouse. If you added the spouse, everybody who was added in your initial application need to appear on your DS260. The only difference is you're going to say, I will not be traveling with them. So if you'll not be traveling with them, you're not expected to process their passports. You're not expected to take them for medicals, and you're not expected to take them to the interview. You can process alone. The only issue is you still have to prove, if you're married, you still have to show your marriage certificate to this person that you added in your DS260. If it's kids, they might need birth certificates for these children. So maybe if you apply as married and maybe you're not married, or you added kids that are not yours, don't think by saying you'll not go with them, like you'll get away with like not providing their information, you'll still be required to provide those information because they know people do that. They know people can be slick. So yeah, so make sure like in case you're not traveling with them, still have supporting documents like that show that these people are related to you in one way or another. So that's it. Yeah, so you can process a loan because for 6 kids it's expensive. So like in Kenya, if you have to like between with the air ticket for 300,000 or 350, if you multiply that by 6, that's a lot of money. You have to be like very rich over there. All right, let's see another question. Let me just click each. How long do you host? And it's all in the package. For the packages now, I don't have any hosting package. And I'm going to tell you why I refuse the hosting package. Because one thing, somebody will pay for hosting and then they get a visa. Maybe you get a visa in January and then you paid for this space. So if you paid for this room, I'm not going to give anybody that room because it's paid for. And then somebody gets a visa and then they don't come for the next 3 or 4 months. What's happening to this space is just sitting there waiting for them. So it's denying other people opportunity to come and stay in that space because they already paid for it. So now I don't let anybody pay. You pay on arrival. So you come and then you pay. So if you get your visa and you decide not to come, and if I find somebody who needs hosting and they get in that room, then you're on your own. I don't have to find you a place because you got your visa and decided, okay, I want to stay in Africa for 3 months or 4 months. So I'm not going to keep anything. I don't save any room for anybody. So now there's no hosting package. It's just DS260 and the hosting address. That's it. All right, this one. What if you can't afford hosting? How can someone go about it? I already talked about that. Nikishinda nakutafuta from Tanzania. Yeah, karibu. Let's see this one. Hi. Let's see. You're doing a great job. Hey, thanks, Johnny. Let's see who else. But we heard that you can use the passport to get a job as you wait. So somebody is asking, they heard that you can use a passport to get a job as you wait for your social security number. That's not true. That's absolutely not true. So if you come here and you have a passport, right? Your passport has a visa. That visa is a green card. A green card is not proof of work authorization. What allows you to work is your social security number. If you work only with a passport, it means you did not use your social security number and you're not paying taxes. You're not like somebody's paying you probably cash because you can't even open a bank account without a social security number. So to answer your question, if you have a passport, yes, you can work, but you can work illegally. If you work illegally, that can come to hurt you. Why would you process your visa, go through the embassy, all that trouble to come to America, but because you're not patient, get in trouble because you want to work under the table? Because some people will find you jobs in those nursing homes, home care that are owned by people from their country, and then they're like, oh, we'll just be paying you cash. Don't fall for that. Just wait until you get your social. America, the key to succeeding here is doing things the legal way. Don't come here and try to be shady. Don't try to do illegal stuff. This is not like Africa. So that person who's telling you to do that, they know if you get caught, it's your problem. You're the one who's going to get in trouble. If it's deportation, you're the one who's going to get deported. They're not. So they don't care about you. They don't know you. So when you come here, just know, that's why we do videos like this. So when somebody asks you to work without a social security number, tell them to go work themselves, because don't do that. It can get you in trouble. All right, let's go to another question. Can you do medical in another country, then send them back to your country for interview? Yes, you can. Like we have a country like Uganda. Now they do medical in their own country, but before they never used to do that. So in that case, then you do your medical in Uganda. Now that they have it, you can do your medical in Uganda. But because the embassy in Uganda does not process dvlottery visas, then you have to go to Kenya to do the interview. So that way, Ugandan, whatever medical you do, they can send them to Kenya because you're from Uganda and you did it there. So yeah, that's possible. All right, let's see the next question. How much time long do I have? Okay, so somebody's just basically asking how long do you have to, before you fill your DS260? What's the time limit? So there's no time limit for DS260. You have to fill it just on time so that they process it before, your visa bulletin is like current. But then you don't have to like complete the DS260 on the first day. A lot of YouTubers will be like, oh, this DS260, you need to complete it the first day. If your case number is 100,000, they will schedule you quicker. It doesn't work like that. So the DS260, you complete the DS260, and then it goes by case number. So if you have a low case number, you have a reason to complete your DS260 as soon as possible, which is different from immediately. What do I mean as soon as possible? Look at this DS260. See what you need. Do you need a passport? Do you need your educational level? Did you apply as married? Do you fix those loops? Maybe you applied as married and you don't have a marriage certificate. Make sure you're thinking of how you're going to get a marriage certificate. So don't rush to complete the DS260, because I've had people complete the DS260 and maybe they said they were married. And then now, because they don't have a marriage certificate and somebody told them, apply for the DS260 immediately. When they apply for the DS260, they apply as single. So you are married on the application. What happened? How are you single now? You have to show you have divorced, and that way you apply as divorced, even not single. So if you change your marital status from single, from married to single, you need proof. If you change from single to married, you need proof. So don't rush to complete this. Your kids, ask, okay, are these my real children? If you have a kid, maybe your brother's kid, maybe they passed away a long time ago, and you've taken care of this kid since day one, and then now they're like 18, they're still not your kid unless you have adoption papers. So if you put a kid like that on your application and you win, then guess what? You're in trouble, because guess what? You don't have adoption paper to show this kid is yours. Raising a kid or having that kid for all your life doesn't mean that's your kid, unless you're the biological parent, you're a step kid, and if the kid is not yours, you need to adopt them. So DS260, don't rush. I tell people, do not rush. If you have questions, ask. A lot of people don't get a visa because of the DS260. You complete it and you complete mess up, like you try to fix. There's some issues that can be fixed from your application to the DS260, and there's some that you cannot change. So you have to make sure, like, you're waiting, take your time, review this form before you complete it. So no rush. You're winning in May, and then the results are going to be, the embassy starts in October. So from May to October, you still have time. You don't have to complete like, okay, I win on May 3rd, and then I'm going to complete the DS260 May 4th. For what? Just take your time. June, you can just do it in June. It doesn't matter, as long as you know, like, okay, I'm completing this form this way. And if I go to the embassy and they ask me any proof of whatever I completed here, I have proof. I have a girl from Ghana. This girl she didn't complete high school, so she did not have high school diploma. But she applied for the green card and she won. And she found somebody, an agent online. I don't know. I didn't know the agents like that exist. But she found an agent online, and then the agent was like, you have to complete that you completed high school diploma. This girl did not have high school diploma. And then the agent told her, if you don't complete high school diploma, you're going to get denied a visa. So she completed the DS260 really quick using an agent who completely messed her case up. So when she showed up at the embassy, they're like, okay, you completed high school diploma. Do you have high school diploma? And she says she doesn't. And that's how she was denied a visa. That was like 3 weeks ago, 3 or 2 weeks ago, that girl. 2 weeks ago, she was denied a visa. But if this girl took her time and read that question, which asked, did you complete high school? And she realized she doesn't have high school, instead of rushing, she should have just waited, be patient, and then ask somebody, research, watch videos, go on Google. If I don't have high school, what do I do? Then she'll have found out she can use work experience, because whatever field she was working at qualified her to get the green card. Like, she could have qualified using work experience, but because somebody rushed her and misadvised her, she didn't use the work experience, and guess what? She was not given a visa. So that's why you have to, this form, don't play with the DS-260. This is the application for immigrant visa to come to the United States. If your DS-260 is messed up, you're not gonna get that visa. So the application, play with the application, do not play with the DS-260. That's why when you go to the embassy, they pull up your DS-260. They're looking at your DS-260. So if they ask you, where did you go to school? It's not like it's like new information. They're just checking what you put there, and then they look at you and see if you say the same thing. They ask you, are you married? They look at your DS-260, you said you're married, and then you over there, you're saying, no, I'm single. So DS-260 is a very important form. Do not mess up with it. All right, let's go to the next question. Somebody's asking what state. I host in New York. How much per month, depending on what you want. If you want, like I said, an apartment, if you want a single room, if you want a shared room, depends on how much you can pay for the place. So that varies. Everybody is different. So I don't discuss hosting. That one, it's later down the line, because like I said, embassy, you won't go until October, like if you have a really low case number. So you still have time. All right, let's see what this one says. This one, DS-260, I already talked about that. Somebody's asking, how much money do you need after winning? It varies with country. Why? The medicals are different in every country. Some country, you'll get like is $85 or $100 in one country. You go to Zimbabwe, it's like $700, $800. You go to Kenya, it's like $400. So nobody, like every country is different. Secondly, if you go to your medical, if you have like immunizations already, you will pay less than somebody who doesn't have those immunizations. So which means even if your embassy is Kenya and some other person also embassy is Kenya, you show up at the medical together, your medical costs can be different. But then there's some things like, visa fees, some things like $330 to pay for the interview. There's some that are standard, but there's some things that are different. Another thing is like if you're going to fly here, somebody who's flying from South Africa to here, somebody from Kenya to here, the flight is not going to be the same price. So after you win, just check the main. Do you have the main ones that, this is a standard fee for everybody? Like interview fee, visa fee is going to be the same. But then medical and other travel expenses and all that is going to be different for every country. But I did a video. If you go on my channel and then you just type NAFULA cost of DV lottery, that video will pop up and then you'll just give you a rough idea. All right, let me see. I think I did that already. Let's see. Let me see. Somebody would like to come as a couple. Yeah, I host couple. I just do not host kids. Let's see. Why am I think somebody typed like the same question like 100 different times. And then somebody is asking, I think they're from Ghana. I don't know. They're asking about senior 6 certificate, but I got one principal pass. So the thing about education is different in every country. In Kenya, we have KCSE. You just go from Form 1 to Form 4. You finished high school. You go to Uganda, just the next country over is Form 1 to Form 6. You go to Ghana, different education system. So usually I advise somebody, check with your country what kind of education, high school they need. Because in Uganda, if you're Form 4, they don't accept it. They accept Form 6. Like if you have Form 4, they just consider like probably you don't have you need probably work experience. They don't take it as high school diploma. You have to be a Form 6. In Kenya, Form 4, you're perfectly fine. So I cannot answer a question about education because all these countries are different. And then with the education, you have to check with the minimum grade. I don't know. In Kenya, I think it's D- if I'm not mistaken, D- or something. So usually the DV lottery, it doesn't ask much. like D- in Kenya. So D- pretty much there's a D- and there's an E. An E is somebody who just goes to the exam and then they just write their name and they don't write anything else. They get an E. So if you're getting a D-, is a pretty low expectations of your education or academic level. So a lot of people who pretty much completed high school in Kenya, they get the DV, they come on DV lottery. So that's what I'm gonna say about education. Let's see. So somebody's asking, like, do I come? I think they're asking if it's like my hosting is like first come, first served. Yes, it is. Like if you apply, usually the people who complete the form immediately, we get back to them. They complete the DS260 and all that. Yeah, so it's first come, first served. So if somebody requested for hosting in May and then somebody requested for hosting in October, whoever gets a visa, if both of them get a visa at the same time, then whoever applied first, if I have one spot, it will go to them. So it's first come, first served basis. So make sure, like, if you win the green card lottery, you apply for hosting, because the way the hosting, once you put that information into the website, when it comes to on our end, it shows it in numbers. So if you applied in May, you're gonna be up, like it shows the date when you applied, and then so it's like in an order, chronological order. So it's gonna, I'll just see this one applied before this. But usually it hasn't been an issue because everybody gets a visa at different times. So it has not been an issue at all. Okay. Somebody's asking about Canadian DV. I don't know Canadian DV. I don't live in Canada. I have no idea what goes on over there. Somebody's asking if I offer mentorship, about like if you need tracking and all that. I do not offer mentorship for people I'm not hosting. Like if I'm hosting and you're here and you need maybe to join tracking, you need to join the army, you need to join whatever. If you are here with me, then I can mentor you because it's easy. I can get access to you. I don't need appointments. I don't need to go out of my way to do anything. So it's easy. But if you're like in a different state now, there's people there who can mentor you. All right, let's see. Somebody's asking, hi, I want to know if hosting myself with 7,000 in the Midwest, I have no idea what happens in Ohio again. I have no idea. I've done support. I'm going to talk about that before we end. Let's see. Let's see. These questions, most of them we've addressed. Yeah, most of these questions. What is this? I'm married after application and have stepchild. Birth certificate show unknown father's name. How will it go? Yeah. So if you're married, for example, you applied as single, right? And then you check on Saturday and you find out you won. But then since you applied, you got married in between. If you marry somebody who has a child, you do not need to adopt this child. That child is your child because you married the mother or you married the father. That makes them your child. So in that case, if you win, you can complete the DS260 as married. And people who apply as married, usually the names are populated or anything like the DS260s, like they're populated in there. You'll have to click to add these other family members because you applied as single, so nobody's gonna be. You won't have the drop down menus for the others. So you just have to click the DS260 to add those family members. So you'll have to add the wife, and then you have to add the step kid. This is another thing. So if you intend to come to the United States with a stepchild, or if you're a girl out there and maybe you are a single mother, you got into a relationship with this guy, and then you had a child with this guy who disappeared on the first day. But then the name of that absentee dad is on the birth certificate. Now you're stuck. Because guess what? When you go to the embassy, if you're not traveling with the father or the mother, they need consent. You will need consent to travel with this kid. There has been an issue over there at Nairobi Embassy that I was dealing with about this. So if you're single and you're going to travel with a kid, before you say you're going to travel with that kid, before you go to the embassy, it's important you get consent from the other parent. unless they're dead. In that case, you'll need a death certificate, or you need something to show that they live, like they are not alive. But if they are alive, you have to find them and get that consent, because without that consent, you're not going to be allowed to travel with this child. So same thing with Johnny here. If you marry the mother, that's your step kid, you can add them to the DS-260. But before the embassy allows you to travel with this child, you will need consent from the father. So if you check on Saturday, and then maybe you decide you won, and then you have an ex, maybe you are like, oh, nasty to the ex or whatever, it's time to be like nicer. You don't tell them you want the green card. You just try to be nicer, so they don't know, like, you it's because of the green card. But you have to be nice to them, because they need to give you consent. Otherwise, you'll not travel with this kid. A lot of them, they will not give you consent. Listen to me. A lot of the people who abandon you with the kid, they will absolutely not give you consent. And then you're asking me, why will they refuse to give me consent? I'll tell you why. So if you have a child with this person, a guy, abandoned you, went and married, maybe they're married to somebody else, they have kids, a whole family over there. The reason why they don't want you to come with this kid is because they want to use this kid as a money-making machine. How? Because if you leave this kid with the dad, because the dad, after you come here, the dad has legal custody of this child, you'll be forced to work hard and send money for him to support your child. So a lot of men, a lot of women, they know the moment you tell them you want the green card lottery, they will not give you consent. They're like, I see paycheck and dollars coming from America. So they will not give you consent. So just make sure, like, you approach it the right way. But that's what I'm dealing with right now, because the guy feels like has not been in this kid's life. The kid is like 9 right now. All of a sudden, he doesn't want to provide consent. He's like, I'm going to take care of the child. That child is mine. I'm going to go to court. Why didn't you go to court? You disappeared for all this time. That's why it's important. Like, sometimes if a father disappears and doesn't want to take care of the kid, make sure you get full sole custody. If you get full sole custody for this child, you don't need consent. If you go to court and then they give you, like, okay, this is full legal custody and everything like that, they write, the lawyers know it better. I don't know law language, but if they write it in there, you have full sole custody. The dad we've tried to find him, they can't find him. If you have legal custody, then you can bring that kid. But if you do not have sole legal custody, you will need consent, as long as the name appears on the birth certificate. But in cases where the name does not appear on the birth certificate, then you're fine. If his name doesn't show up in the birth certificate, or if you have a birth certificate with the dad missing, you can't have a birth certificate with the mom missing, but usually it's the dads who are missing in the birth certificate. If he's not on that birth certificate, then consent is not going to be an issue. All right, so let me go to the next. Let me see. So somebody's asking, okay, you win the green card lottery, and then you do you have to have a passport to complete the DS-260? No, you don't. So if you win the green card lottery, I advise, like, if you have the winning letter, which I'm going to show you over here, I hope I have it in my computer. If you win the green card lottery, make sure first you check the letter and see what your case number is. It's very important. If you have a low case number, depending on your region, because you can have a low case number which is low in Africa and not low in Oceania. For example, like if you are 3,000, 4,000, if you're in Africa, you are safe. If you're in Oceania, you're not. So if you're a low case number in your region considered that as a low case number, then you have to complete your DS-260, not immediately. You have to complete it as soon as possible. So once you complete it, if you do not have a passport, you can just select other documents. If you select other documents, then you allow your DS-260 to be processed or whatever, or you just, your DS-260 is in there. But then if you apply for the passport and you get the passport, you can write to KCC, and then they can unlock this DS to 60, and that way you can enter your passport information. If maybe you don't get your passport until the day of the interview, you just show up and then they'll give you the next steps, what you need to do. All right, let's see. Let's see this other question. So somebody's asking, this I already answered. Hakina is asking, like, you live in Israel and then you get selected. Are you required to do interviews back home or in Israel? You can choose whatever you do your interview. They don't care. You can do it in Israel as long as you can prove residency, not like you're visiting there. Visiting is considered like 6 months or less. So if you live there, then you can do it in Israel, or you can do it in Nairobi. If you're from Uganda, you have to go to Nairobi embassy, because Uganda doesn't process DV lottery, so you'll need to go to Kenya. But I'm going to talk about this. I had a guy, like, I don't know, I talked about the guy in like some of my videos. This guy had a low case number. So this guy lives in UAE, one of the countries in UAE, and he applied for the green card lottery and he won. Was it in UAE or was in Asia, something like that. So he applied. So after he won, when you win, like if you guys will win on Saturday, it's going to be 2026, and then there'll be an AF. It shows AF is Africa. This guy had 2025 AS. How does that happen? You'll wonder, like, why is the case number, like, how is that different? It's because this guy, because you live in, for example, maybe Africa is not going to be an issue, but if you live maybe in London, and then you decide, I'm from Kenya, I lived in London, I'm a citizen in London, I've been here 20 years, and you decide to apply, and the question that asks you, where do you claim eligibility from? And then you say you're claiming eligibility from the country where you live, because you'll put like you live in London, so United Kingdom over there. If you win, it's gonna come as EU. It'll be a case number EU. So what do you do when that happens? When that happens, I don't know, something, hold on, I don't know. Let me fix my live will end. Oh, it says inactivity. All right, how do you, I don't know, confirm two objects that are the same shape? Damn. TikTok is a pain. So it almost shut me off because it thought like I'm in activity, like I'm not. You guys tap the screen, share the live, I guess, so that they almost kicked me out. So tap the screen, guys, and share the live. What was I talking about? Yes. So if you win and then your case number, you're from Africa, born in Africa, married to an African, you don't have any links with any other region, and you win, and maybe you said EU. EU means it's not in Africa. So you didn't claim eligibility as an African. And if you win in that case, you will not get a visa. Why? Because you claim eligibility from the wrong region, wrong country. You usually claim eligibility from your country of birth. If you're born in Kenya, eligibility should be from your country of birth. And there's certain exceptions. For example, if you're married to somebody from a country that's eligible, you can claim eligibility based on this person's country of birth. For example, you're Nigerian, and then you marry a Kenyan. Nigerian, you're not eligible to apply. You can still apply for the green card lottery. Why? Because you married a Kenyan. So you claim eligibility based on your Kenyan wife. And in that case, when you come to the United States, you have to bring her. So in the DS260, you cannot select the option that say, I will not be immigrating with her, because she's your ticket here. You don't qualify to come. So you both have to come here. And at the airport, at the port of entry, both of you need to enter at the same time in that case. So those are the scenarios where you can claim eligibility from a different region. Another thing, for example, you are born, for example, in Kenya, right? And then both your parents are from UK, or you're born in, let me use Nigeria. You're born in Nigeria. And then both your parents are from the UK. So maybe your mother and father, they were working in Kenya, maybe as diplomats, or maybe they just went to visit. Kenya is a beautiful country. And then you happen to be born while they're on safari over there. So if you're born in a safari in Nigeria, I don't know if they have safaris or not. Nigeria is not eligible to apply for the DV lottery. But if you're born in Nigeria by parents who are visiting or whatever that time, none of your parents is from Nigeria, you can still apply for the green card lottery as much as your birth certificate is Nigerian. Why? You claim eligibility based on your parents' place of birth. So you can do that. So those are the only scenarios. Either your husband or your spouse is not from, your spouse is from that country that you claim eligibility, or your parents are from that country that you claimed eligibility. That way you can get away if you win and you have the wrong region. If you're like, you use another region and then there's no links, no parent, no spouse, you're not going to get a visa. And why is that? Because you got a higher added advantage by applying or claiming eligibility from a wrong region. For example, you're from Oceania or whatever. I don't know how to say that. I don't know how if that's how you pronounce it correctly. If you're from Oceania region, right? And then you're African and you claim eligibility, Oceania people over there, they don't care. They don't apply for the green card lottery. A lot of them don't care. So there's fewer people applying. So if it's 50 people applying, chances are very high that you're going to be selected. If you're from Africa, Africans apply green card like nobody's business. So Africa has a less chance of you getting selected. Why? Because a lot of you are applying for the green card lottery. So that's why, like, if you claim the wrong region, it means you're getting a higher added advantage to win the green card lottery than somebody who claimed eligibility as an African. So because they know you cheated, and America doesn't like when you cheat to get stuff, so you won't get a visa, because then they'll be like, you had an added advantage. Okay, let me go to somebody else here. Somebody's asking if a single father, you don't want to travel with the kids. Same concept. You just indicate in the DS260 you'll not be traveling with them, and that should not be a problem. Let me see. So, hi NAFULA, can you be denied a visa as a winner if any of your derivatives overstayed at one time in the US? So this is the thing about DV lottery. So DV lottery, if you're like applying for the DV lottery and you're within the United States, you came here as a student, you came here as an exchange student, you came here on H-work visa, you came here on any visa. One, you need to have not overstayed your visit. Why? Because visits, like, I haven't checked that, lawyers know that. Like, if you stay there, usually there's time duration. Maybe if you overstay for 60 days or a month, you get banned for 5 years. If you overstay for 90 days, you're going to get banned for 10 years or 20 years, depending. So because you overstayed the visa, you already have a ban applied to you. So, like, you stayed here illegally. So if you're a principal applicant, you have to make sure that you don't overstay your visa. But if you're a principal applicant and you've never overstayed your visa, what I will do, if there's somebody who overstayed their visa, I will just say I will not be traveling with them. Don't get them in there and then just complicate your case for no reason at all. Just say, if you're processing your thing in Kenya, you're like, I'll be traveling, but I'll not be traveling with this person who stays in the United States and they've been there illegally. Why? Because if you're here illegally, if I'm not going to travel with you, it doesn't make a difference. Like, if I'm not going to travel with you, then I'm the principal applicant. Principal applicant needs to meet all the requirements. You don't have control over what your derivatives do, what your wife who came in the United States did. They don't care about that. So you just have to indicate, like, you're going to be traveling not with them. It's going to save you a lot of trouble. But if you put them in your case and you want to travel with them, they might put you on 221G and you stay there forever until the expiry of, like, the fiscal year. So just make sure, like, before you add relatives in the United States, they are legal here. And if you're a student and you're watching me right now, make sure if you win the green card lottery, do not adjust your status. Do not apply to adjust your status if you've been illegal here. Why? And then with the current administration, it does not play. They will get you anywhere. When you go for the fingerprints, whatever, ICE will be there waiting for you. Like you see people like they apply for green card, and then when they go to the interview, because they had a travel ban applied or deportation, whatever on their case, when they go there, they think they're going for an interview for a green card, but then they go there and then there's ICE waiting for them at your interview. So you show up, pop, they nab you, they take you back home. So that's why if you are illegal here, don't play with it. Just if you are illegal at some point, if you win, just let it go. Because even if you are illegal for even like a week, you overstayed your visa. DV lottery, you cannot adjust your status if you've been illegal in the United States. So that's one about adjusting status. The second thing about adjusting status that you should know is if you are like here on a visa that has restrictions. For example, I came on a J1 visa, J1 exchange program, more people who come J1, not from all the countries, but in Kenya, I don't know if they do that anymore. But then you have the section 212E that's on your visa. That thing says, once you complete your program, you have to go back and stay in your country for 2 years before you can legally adjust your status in the United States. So if you have that on your passport and you win the green card lottery, if you go to the embassy like that, you won't be eligible to adjust your status. Why? Because you have the 2-year requirement that needs you to go back home. So how do you get around it? By getting a waiver. So you can get a waiver. Like start applying for a waiver. A waiver takes time. So maybe by the time you get a waiver, then the fiscal year will be done. But then if you have a J1 visa, if you arrive in this country, it's best to apply for waiver. There's an easy waiver for no objection. If you do no objection waiver, that way you just have to prove that your country says it's okay for you to stay in the United States. If you get like a letter from the US Kenyan embassy in DC, they just say that, you know what, it's okay. If you want to adjust, they don't care. If they give you that letter, you can get a waiver based on the no objection category. But then if you're here and you're a Fulbright student or whatever, sometimes it's a little bit complicated. So you have to make sure if you're J1 or you are here on any visa, maybe you came on a diplomatic visa, check that visa, make sure like that visa is eligible to adjust your status in the United States. Check your visa. Other than overstaying, check if your visa has restrictions. You can have visas like those people who work on cruise ships or whatever. Check that visa. Make sure it does not have any restrictions. Okay, let me see another. Somebody's like, I left a city of birth blank when applying because I wasn't 100% sure. My aunt found my unabridged birth certificate recently, so I can now confirm. Will this hurt? They don't care about city of birth. The city of birth, like if you say you claim city of birth is is not relevant. When you apply for the DS260, you can just put the new city of birth there. But the city of birth, people just make a big deal out of this. It doesn't affect anyone. You can say you were born anywhere and you still win, or leave it blank. They don't care. You can say you don't know because you can click the box that says city of birth unknown. They don't care. How much do I pay? I don't know how much to pay for what. Oh, how much do you pay? I already spoke about that. You can go look for videos. Like if you wanna, like if you're on TikTok or on YouTube, you have questions on DV lottery. Maybe you have questions on marriage. Go on YouTube, start by typing NAFULA and say marriage, DV lottery. A video will pop up. Or NAFULA, affidavit of support, DV lottery, it will show up. If you say NAFULA, DS260, DV lottery, my video will show up. So that's how you search, and then the videos will just show up. As long as you put my name, it will show up. All right. If someone did high school and they did not get and did get the required grade, she repeated. No, like, so basically he's asking, like, if you went to high school, maybe the first time you got a D and then you went back and then you got a B. So you don't use the first certificate. You use the second one because now you have one with higher grades. Why would you need to use one with bad grades, right? So if you repeated class, just use the certificate that you offered the second time. All right, let's see. Somebody with a low case number, what is the safest to fill the DS-260? I already answered this question. As soon as possible, not immediately. Make sure you have everything. If you don't have a passport, you can complete with the other passport and then work on getting a passport. All right, so let me see. And then somebody's asking about the address. Why we charge for the address? One, we charge for the address because if I get your documents here, I get your social security number, I get your green card here, I'll have to mail those documents. Go out of my way, stop what I'm doing, and mail you your green card and the social security in a certified mail to make sure they arrive where you are safely. That's one. Number two, if you win and you apply for the green card, the hosting, if you win the DV lottery, one, I'm reviewing that application. I see you qualify. I'm going to give you a call. I'm going to text you. So who do you want to use their own money to text you? Who do you want to use their own money to call you and discuss like, okay, well, this is what we are doing. So you're paying because like if you guys donated, like if somebody donated a lot of money, I'll do that for free. But then like nobody wants to donate. So what happens? So you have to pay for your own service. So I don't do like, okay, the address is like when I get that, I'm not going to drive from here to the post office, use my own money to send you your green card and your social. That's not how it works in America now. All right. Somebody want to ask about the names. We'll talk about this. Let's see. So let me talk about like general stuff. And then because once I talk about that, a lot of these questions will be answered. So first, let me see what I put down here. So let's talk about marriage. Why do I every time talk about marriage? Because this is the number one reason people get denied a visa if they win the green card lottery. Marital status. If you mess up on this, there's no excuse. You can mess up on other things. They'll be like, okay, if you don't have a host, go find another host. If you don't have affidavit of support, go find affidavit of support. If you mess up on the question on marriage, there's no go and fix it. You either get a visa or not. So we'll talk about marriage. Marriage, if you applied as single, you are safe. If you did not, listen to me. Number one, if you applied as married, the question you should be asking yourself, do you have a marriage certificate? Did you have it at the time of application? Not just having a marriage certificate. If you applied on October 20th and you did not have a marriage certificate until November 1st, that marriage certificate will mess you up. Why? If you apply as married, you have to have a marriage certificate on the day or before you applied for the green card lottery. What if you did not have a marriage certificate? Maybe you applied, somebody just told you, you've been living with this woman, you have, like I had another vlogger. They're like, oh, if you lived with this woman and you have 4 children with them or 5 children with them, you can apply as married. And then if they bring a problem, you can tell them, you can use your kids as proof of marriage. Who's lying to these people? That statement right there can mess up a lot of people. You have no idea. That's why I get so upset with YouTubers or bloggers who lie like that. So if you apply as married and you did not have a marriage certificate at that time when you applied for the green card lottery, if you're from Kenya, you are safe. If you're from the other countries, I don't know how it works in your own country. I'm from Kenya, so I know how it works in Kenya. So if you applied as married and you are not married at that time when you applied, it's important. Start working right now. Go and find affidavit of marriage. The affidavit of marriage is available in Kenya. So this affidavit of marriage, the dates and what it says on the affidavit of marriage is very relevant to your case. Why? Because on this affidavit of marriage, they're going to say you got married under customary law in 2020 or even 2024 September. It can say that. But the date on this affidavit of marriage, it needs to state it was before you applied for the green card lottery. So you don't have a marriage certificate, you applied as married, go apply for affidavit of marriage, and then the affidavit of marriage will say you got married under customary law, because customary law, traditional marriages are acceptable in Kenya. So you can say that. After you fix that, then you come and apply for a marriage certificate. And why do you still need to apply for a marriage certificate? Because affidavit of marriage is not acceptable in most embassies. They want the real legal document. You know, customary law, that's like an African thing. American don't know what customary law is. So you have to apply for marriage certificate. So after you get your affidavit of marriage, you can schedule. You don't need to call like a big wedding or whatever. You can go to AG or whatever. What do they do over there? You just go to that person. You can just go to an office with witnesses, and then you get a marriage certificate. When you get this marriage certificate, instead of saying you are married in, maybe you go next month, you're married in June or July or whatever, you don't say, it doesn't say like you're married that time. It says this person was married under customary law since 2011 or married under customary law since 2013. So when you go to the embassy, you have two documents. You have one, which is affidavit of marriage, which shows you got married under customary law. And then you have this legal document, which is a marriage certificate. As much as your marriage certificate is going to say you got married in 2025, this affidavit of marriage is going to back that up to show that you were married before you applied for the green card lottery. So that is Kenya. If you're from any other country that does not accept customary marriage and you applied as married, and you do not have a way of like fixing your marriage certificate, then you will not get a visa. Because if you applied as married and you did not have a marriage certificate at that time, it shows like you lied on your application. So that's how you fix that. If you are born in a country that allows customary marriages. Marriage is a big thing. Without a marriage certificate, they will ask for it. Whether you take that spouse, or you say you're going to take that spouse, or you're not going to take that spouse. They're like, oh, are you married? Yes. Are you going to be taking your wife to the United States? No. Or do you have a marriage certificate to show that you're married? You give them a marriage certificate. The first thing they check how you applied. So if that's how they know a lot of people mess up that. So they just use that to deny you a visa. And you can't sue them. You can't like go over there and say, I'm going to do like a petition, or I'm going to like whatever. How do they do all those things? Legal people, no. You cannot. Green card, once you're denied a visa, you have no say. You just go home and cry. There's nothing. So don't mess up. If you win, do not mess up the opportunity. That's why I was saying that if you got married and don't complete the DS260 right away for reasons like this, so that if you applied as married and you don't have a marriage certificate, you find if there's a way to fix that before you even complete your DS260. That's about marriage. If you applied as divorced, you're going to have to show legal divorce papers. Don't just apply as divorced because you are married to somebody and they went their separate ways. No. They will need a document that shows you're divorced before you applied. The date is important. So if you applied as divorced and you are not divorced at that time, then you have a problem. If you said maybe you are separated, if you say you're separated, American separation is not like Kenyan separation. You have to get legal documents from the court that says you are separated. So you have to go with those documents at the embassy. If you applied as widowed, you can sometimes people get away with just bringing your marriage certificate from, your spouse who passed away and a death certificate, and usually it's fine. So that's about marriage. So marriage, I think I'm done with that unless anybody has a question on marriage, but that's pretty much about marriage. Okay, now let's talk about children. That's a big thing that people get denied a visa. Children, if you applied as single and you win the green card lottery, so you applied like, you applied as single and then you did not add the kids because they were in school, maybe something happened, you didn't have a picture, maybe it was the last day, you had to rush and apply, and then you applied and you didn't add your children. If you win the green card lottery, do not get excited. Do not get excited and add those children to your application. Do not do that, because your visa is denied before you even show up at the embassy. Because guess what? They process the DS-260. Those people are looking at your DS-260. So they're looking at your application for DV lottery. You said you're single, no kids, and they're looking at your DS-260. They see children there, and these children, they look at the date of birth. The date of birth is before you applied. So these children existed before you applied. So why didn't you add them to the application? There's no excuse. You cannot say I forgot. You cannot say anything. So make sure don't add them. If you did not add any kid who existed, forget about it. So if you applied and you added, maybe you applied as single, and then now you give birth. Maybe your girlfriend was pregnant, your wife was pregnant now, and then you give birth. This is a different story. This kid can be added to your DS-260. Why? Because this kid existed after you applied for the green card lottery. So usually about DV lottery is about, the interview is very easy. It's the easiest interview you can ever have at a US consulate. Very easy. They only double check the facts. You added the kid, they just check the date. They're like, oh, you applied in October 2024. This kid appears to be born in January 2025, and they're over here. No problem at all. So if you're pregnant, some people, like I had a person make a mistake where they were pregnant and somebody told them to add that kid to the application last year. So if this girl wins, then there's a problem. There's a big problem. Because you're pregnant, how do you know what date this kid is going to be born? Baby was not born at that time. But if now, you give birth and you applied as single, yeah, you can add those kids. Another one is the question that we just talked about, the gentleman who asked about, like, I married a wife and they have kids from a previous marriage. Your stepkids are your kids. So if you got married after you applied, you can add the spouse and you can add those kids to your application. Adoption, usually I think you have to be adopted. I think you have to have adopted the kids for like 2 years or something like that. I haven't looked, I don't want to give wrong information, but I think that's what happens with adoption. So that's about children. You can add biological kids, stepkids, and adopted children. Marriage, you can only add a spouse if you married the spouse after you applied. In that case, you just go with the marriage certificate that shows after you applied. And at the embassy, like I said, interview questions at the embassy, they are very easy. Ask any DV lottery winner. It's very easy, that interview, because they ask questions about you. So if you go there, you're married, they will ask you, are you married to this person? And then you say yes. So if you faked a marriage and they detect that this marriage must be a fraudulent marriage, what they do, they can put you both in separate rooms or separate windows. And then they ask you the same exact question. How did you guys meet? This one says, I met in Nairobi. This one, I met in Kisumu. Okay. What is your husband's favorite food? Or where does he work? What is your mother-in-law's name? You can't be married to somebody you don't know what your mother-in-law's name is or where they're from. They just want proof of relationship. They will want evidence. Okay, you are married. Do you have emails that you send to each other? Do you have text messages? Maybe it's like, hey, you are late from work. Where are you? There's no way you can be married for 3 years and then you have text messages only from 4 months ago. So these are the stuff that you need to prove. Another thing, like if you had a wedding, you have to show, like if you have pictures, you can bring pictures. You can bring pictures of the wedding with the family. It shows like you different places with the family. Maybe you went for Christmas, you took a picture with this person and this person. So you can bring like photos, like literally like printed copies to show this is his family, this is my family. So that can be used as proof of relationship. You can use like a lease. Your landlord, get a lease with both names. That can be used. If you're here, you can use insurance. If you have same health insurance, you can use that as an evidence. So in green card lottery interviews, they don't ask you questions out of the blue. They won't ask you, oh, when you get to America, what are you going to do? If they ask you that, you can say, literally, I'm planning to go to America and I have no idea what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go there and then figure my way out. You'll still get a visa. It's not like a work visa or a student visa where you have to prove what you're coming to do here. They don't care. This is an immigrant visa. You can come here, you're like, I'm going to go to school. You can say anything. I'm going to go maybe work. Maybe I like to paint. I'm going to go there and paint. You know, they don't care. I can go there and work as get in the US Army. They don't care. So this is the easiest visa to get. A lot of people who've been denied a visa, DV lottery visa, first thing they lied about themselves, or they did not have proof of what they're talking about, or maybe they had sometimes maybe I'll talk about it in a different video, but then like if you have some medical conditions like TB, or you have syphilis, leprosy, there's class A medical conditions and stuff like that, those ones, they don't deny you a visa, they just tell you to go get treatment and come back. So if the treatment takes 9 months, then you're out. If the treatment takes shorter period, then you might have a shot at getting the visa. Okay, so that's that. Let's talk about affidavit of support. Affidavit of support, usually this is required not by all embassies. Juma and Elia from Tanzania, they never needed affidavit of support. But if you're from Kenya, for some reason, Kenyans, they want affidavit of support pretty much on everybody, unless the person doing the interview in Kenya is not from Kenya. Some Sudanese have gotten away with coming without affidavit of support using the Kenyan embassy. But if you're from Kenya, you're a Kenyan, chances are very high they will need affidavit of support. So if you win the green card lottery, your worry should not be the money. It should not be your host. The worry is going to be, how are you going to get this affidavit of support? Because without affidavit of support, you're not going to get a visa. They will not give it to you. They will not deny you. They will just tell you to go find it. If you bring it back, you'll get a visa. What is affidavit of support? Affidavit of support is to prove that when you come to the United States, you're not going to be a burden. A burden to who? A burden to the US government. Why? Because if you live in New York, freebie state, if you don't have food, they will give you food stamps. If you do not have housing, they will try to give you public housing. They won't leave you on the streets. And a lot of people are asking, why is everybody, I see homeless people. Why is homeless people on the streets when there's this public housing? This public housing have rules. They have rules. Like, for example, you need to be like off drugs. Like if you're abusing drugs here, cocaine, whatever, you need to be off drugs to qualify for these facilities. So if you go in that facility and then you're still abusing drugs, or you have a mental issue that makes you like not stay inside the house, then you're homeless. You're not homeless because the government is not providing for you. You're homeless because of a certain condition, whatever is going to you, drugs or whatever, that's making it difficult for you to stay in the house. Even if they give you a house, some of them that can't stay in there. Otherwise, if you're doing everything right, you're going to get a house. If you're homeless, you're going to qualify for those housing. This is the thing. If you're an African and you're coming here, they don't want you to do that. They don't want you to come in the United States and say you can't work or you can't eat. And then the government, US people who've been contributing or paying taxes for all this time, they use that taxes to support you, an immigrant from a different country. They don't want that. That's where affidavit of support comes in, where before you come here, you have to prove that somebody in the United States will support you other than, all right, I don't know. It says visibility is restricted. I don't know. Maybe I should up somebody. Can you please stop the screen? I don't know, but I have 2 restrictions on TikTok. What did I do? I don't know what I did. Can you please stop the screen? I think they'll shut me down. If they shut me down on TikTok, you can come on YouTube, because I don't know how to work TikTok. I don't know why they're sending me restrictions. I don't think I'm doing anything wrong. But anyhow, I don't know. Maybe I say drugs. I don't know. Maybe that's the word. So I don't know what to do to take the restrictions out. You guys have an idea? Tap the screen, and do something, because I don't know. They'll shut me down. It says I'm restricted over there. But anyhow, so if you come from outside the country, and then you want to use this public funding to give you housing, food, then the US taxpayers have to pay for that. So if you find somebody in the United States like me to give you FW support, when you come here and you're homeless, instead of the US government going out of their way to find you a place, they will tell me to find you a place and pay for it. And if the US government pays for the housing or pays for the food, they will come after me, who's your sponsor, to actually, pay back the money. But that happens when you file the there's two forms of FW support. There's the I-134 and I-864. If you do the 864, is legally binding. So if you use public funding, then they will come after your sponsor to do that, to pay back the money. But then if you are I-134, which is every DV lottery winner can use that, it's not legally binding. That just shows this person is coming from Africa, coming to the United States, and I'm going to help them, have a place to stay, eat before they get a job and get their feet on the ground. So do the I-134. So that's FW support. And then you're asking, if it's just this FW support, why don't people get it so easy? One, affidavit of support, it goes by income. So somebody who is in the United States has to fill this form for you. They have to meet two requirements. One, they have to be US legal permanent resident, which means they have a green card, or they have to be citizens. So if you're not a citizen, then that's it. That's it. If you're not a citizen or a legal permanent resident, you can't complete affidavit of support. And why is that? Because usually the president can wake up and say all visas, student visas, H1 visas are canceled. So if this person filled affidavit of support and then now their visa is canceled, they're going back home, who's going to host you when you're here? That's why they want somebody who has a legal permanent residency or somebody who has a citizen. So that's one requirement. The second requirement, this person has to be working and paying taxes in the United States. So if you have somebody who does not work or work in jobs that you can't claim income, sometimes if they're on social media all day, like if I was here, every time you wake up in the morning, you go on TikTok, NAFULA is there. And I'm there before you go to bed, you go on TikTok, NAFULA is there. This NAFULA is not working. So if they are not working, they're not filing taxes. If they're not filing taxes, they're not going to help you with FW support. FW support needs somebody who has a real job that makes money. They don't have to work for somebody. They can even be self-employed, but in a field where they can show consistent income, that this is the amount of money they're making per year. And these are the amount of money they're paying in taxes, because you'll be required to provide the 1040 tax form or a tax transcript. A tax transcript, it just shows this person made this amount of money, this amount of in taxes, these are the dependents, and then you have to go with that at the embassy. So you need a tax transcript, and then you need a proof of residency. So this person has to send you either a green card or their passport or their birth certificate to show you that they're either citizens here or legal permanent resident. So that's what's needed. And then can anybody who works pay, fill this form for you? No, not everybody who works. You have to make a certain amount of money. And it goes by income guidelines. So there's a New York, if you go to just online or .state or whatever on the state government website, and you just do income guidelines, they will show you. And the income guidelines is very small. Somebody who has 30,000, I think, can support like 3 people or something. Last time I checked, it's nothing. Somebody with 60,000, they can support up to 6 people. So literally, everybody can qualify. They can help you, complete the I-134 as long as they are working, even if it's a minimum wage jobs. But then if they have 30,000 and maybe they can only support 3 people or 2 people, they're included in the number. So if they have a wife, that wife is included in the number. If they have 1 child, there are already 3 people in the 30,000. So if they complete their level of support for you, it's not going to be enough. It's not going to be accepted because they are below income guidelines for the 4 people. So you have to check the the guidelines. Another thing is if you're in Africa and you win the green card lottery, please just go out there and, find information. What is this affidavit of support? Where is this form? What do I need? Don't just go to somebody in America. I get messages on my email all the time. Hey, can you complete affidavit support for me? From a stranger, somebody I don't even know. They just, can you complete? How can somebody complete this? I don't know you. I don't like, how are you just coming? Can you complete this? So you have to make sure you build a relationship with this person. And then also, number two, you have to make sure you tell this person. Not everybody in America knows what this thing is. I know it because I do a lot of immigration stuff. People who talk about it, either they've done it before or they do immigration stuff. So usually they are aware. If you go to a regular American or somebody from Kenya, you're like, I've done support, they're like, say, what now? They have no idea what you're talking about. So make sure you do your research. When you approach this person, you're like, hey, I won the green card lottery. Tell them a story. I won the green card lottery. My embassy is this date is the day of my interview. And in my interview, I need somebody to support me. For somebody to support me, they need to be a legal permanent resident. They need to make this amount of money. They need to be whatever. Give them all that information. So when somebody opens the email, if they're going to help you, they know what they need. Because a lot of people will say they will do affidavit support for you. But then when it comes to the time, they don't want to do it. Why? Because it clicks. Like they will need to send you their tax form and they'll need to send you their ID. I mean, their passport or a copy of their green card. That's sensitive personal information. One, I'm opening up and telling you how much I'm making. People don't like people to know how much they're making. So you as a DV lottery winner, I'm telling you how much I'm making. I'm sending you information about all my people in my family. If you have a spouse with the kids, all the information, all their social security numbers are going to be there. All this personal information are going to be like I'll need to send it to you. So it's very private information. So a lot of people, once they realize that they will send this information, then that's when they turn their phone off and they say, okay, scratch that. I forgot. I'm not going to support you anymore. So you have to make sure, tell these people. So once they read your baptism, whatever, they read everything, and then they're like, hey, this is, and then they decide this is not something I'm going to do. They will tell you there, I'm not going to do it, because they know what it is. So it's important that you do your own research first. So when you approach somebody, tell them what affidavit of support is. That's about affidavit of support. I already spoke about education. I don't know why they're sending me restrictions. What am I doing wrong? My TikTokers. I'm not on TikTok a lot, so I have no idea. They sent me another restriction. What is this now? Hold on. I don't know. So what am I doing wrong, TikTokers? People who are on TikTok all the time. Can you tell me what I'm getting restrictions here? Warnings after warnings. I'm doing nothing. I'm just sitting here talking. Somebody say end and then come back. End live, then come back. All right, I'm going to do that. Let me end the live and then I'm going to come back. Some people can go. My YouTube is NAFULA SHARLEEN. You can come over there. Let me end it and then come back, because I have it's red everywhere. All right, let me end it. Yeah, I ended my live. I have no idea. That's why I don't like TikTok. TikTok is not my thing. Let's see. Let me see here. Just give me.
If you're in the United States.
All right, let me go to live. Let me go live again. All right, I'm going live. Sorry about that. They're dropping me on TikTok. They think, what am I doing? I'm not saying anything illegal. I'm telling you guys the good stuff, but they're trying to shut me down over here. So yeah, I'm back on live. Hopefully, yeah, now the restriction is gone. Anyhow, so that's about the affidavit of support. You need to tell everybody what affidavit of support is before you reach out to them to provide the affidavit of support. All right, so let's go to another question. Education, we already talked about education. Check with your different countries. Every requirement is different. Ghana is going to have different education requirement than Kenya, because the education system is different. And then now, once I get back to the TikTok, I'm going to talk about the DS260, because a lot of people have been having questions. Let me try to answer questions here. Let me see. Somebody is asking, if you have high school degree, but you don't have job experience. If you have high school degree, you do not need job experience. Job experience is for the people with no high school degree. So if you have high school degree, even if you've never worked a single day in your life, you will still get your visa. All right, TikTokers, tap. Now back to the tapping. Tap, tap, tap. Please tap, share the live. All right. What medical conditions are definite? No. The most common one is the TB, tuberculosis. And there's two. There's latent and then there's the active. So if you have active TB, they do a chest x-ray, shows active TB. It means you're infectious and you can give it to somebody else. Then they will not give you a visa if you have active TB. You have to get treatment first. Missing teeth? No, you can just come and you don't have any teeth. You'll get your teeth fixed over here. So missing teeth is not an issue at all. You have to have something, a disease that you can spread to somebody else, like is a communicable disease. Otherwise, you're not. Every other thing is fine. All right, let's see. Somebody's asking if you have your mom's details and not your dad's while filing DS-260. So DS-260, like literally you don't need to prove anything about your parents. Usually with your parents, you don't have to fix anything about your parents, because with your parents, they don't, it's not like a spouse. You're not immigrating with them. Some people, like even if you go on your parents and you say date of birth, you don't know, location current where they are, you don't know. Even if you feel all that, you wouldn't have a problem with that. They don't care about your parents. They care about like the people who you're gonna immigrate with them, or the people who will be eligible for a petition later. So that will be your wife and your children and information about you. And then a lot of people are asking like, okay, so if I have high school degree and then my wife, maybe I won and my wife does not have high school degree, what happens in that case? In that case, the requirements or the minimum requirements for the DV lottery is applicable to the principal applicant. So if you won, you need to have high school, you need to have like all these other requirements and all that. You need to, make sure your medicals are fine, you don't have any diseases in there. Principal applicant. But the other derivatives, if they don't have education, they don't care. If they don't speak English, they don't care about anything like that. Principal applicant. And if somebody, like, for example, you go with your wife and your wife has TB and you want to immigrate with them, then she'll be required to get treatment and your visa will be on hold. But if you're not coming with your wife, then you will get a visa. They don't care about if she has TB or not. So that's another thing. All right, let me see. I think now, tap the screen. Now I'm back. Oh, excuse me. Now I'm back. I don't see any restrictions at all. So I should be fine, I think. They almost banned me on TikTok. I don't know. Maybe I have a heavy accent. They're like, this African person, I don't know. Please tap the screen and then let me go to a different question. Let me see. Look at this one. Kennedy says, if you have 2 wives, is that a problem? Yeah, probably Muslim, whatever. Yeah, their culture allows to have up to 7 wives, I think. But then you can only immigrate with 1. So you can only bring 1 to the United States. You cannot add 2 wives on your application. It has to be only 1 wife. You can add the stepchildren to your DS-260, but then you can only add 1 wife. So that's that. Let's see. No. Yeah, so let me talk about DS-260. If I get like, all right, TikTokers, tap, and share the live. So we get those people back, and then I'm going to talk about DS-260. That will be the last thing I'm going to talk about, the DS-260. So the results are coming out May 3rd, Saturday. So we'll be checking the results live. So if you want to come back on Saturday, we'll be over here. Okay, let's talk about the DS-260. So the DS-260 is the application for the immigrant visa. The DS-160 is the application for the non-immigrant visa. So if you're applying for non-immigrant visa, visitor's visa, education visa, work visa, H1M, whatever, those are non-immigrant visas. Those are non-immigrant visas and they're DS-160, 160. But then DS-260 is the application for immigrant visa. And that's what you want to be applying for. So if you win on May 3rd, you're going to be focusing on the DS260. What can be changed on the DS260? Martha here asked if you messed up with the date of your birth. If you messed up with the date of birth on your application, on the DS260, you can fix that. Maybe they said you were born in March, or maybe they said you were born in 2001, and maybe you were born in 2005 or 2000, whatever. Your date of birth, you can fix that on your DS260. When I say you can fix stuff on the DS260, the stuff on the DS260, especially that relates to your identity, one, it has to be matching your passport. Two, it has to be matching your birth certificate. Your school documents, don't worry about that. These two documents, birth certificate and your passport. So your passport, if it says the date of birth that's on your passport, that needs to be on your DS260. What else can you change? Your name. So maybe your name on your application, not like you have a completely like different name. Maybe you spell your names wrong. Maybe instead of putting the middle name there, you put your last name, forgot some letters, but it's the same name. It's like you. You can change that on your DS260 and fix that. On your application, if you said high school, no degree, and then you went home and realized, oh, degree means like I completed high school. Now you want to change. You can change that on the DS260. So your name can be changed, your date of birth can be changed and updated to the correct one, and your educational level can be changed and updated to whatever you have or you want to claim eligibility with. Those things can be changed. What cannot be changed? Even your address can be changed. Even your city of birth, those can be changed, no issue at all. What cannot be changed? Your marital status, unless you have proof. If you applied as single, to change it to married, you need to have a marriage certificate. If you applied as married and now you're divorced, you need to have divorce papers. So to change your marital status, you need proof. Whether you're going from single to married, married to single, you need proof. Another thing that cannot be changed without proof is kids, children. If you had a kid, after you apply, that kid can be added to your DS260. So you can change that. What cannot be changed? If you added a child in your initial application, you cannot remove them on the DS260. Because if you remove them in the DS260, then it means there's something that's missing, and then that will be a problem. You might be denied a visa because you're not supposed to remove a kid. Why are you removing them? You can add them and say you're not traveling with them if they're your kid, but you cannot completely remove that kid. They have to stay there. So that's that. When do you complete the DS260? After you check the results on May 3rd and you realize like, oh, I won, yay, check the case number. If your case number is low according to your region, you need to complete it as soon as possible. Like if your case number is like, let me say 10,000 and below, Africa, you need to complete as soon as possible, which is different from immediately, as soon as possible. Once you've understood the question, you know this is a one-time thing, then complete the form correctly. If your case number is 100,000, my friend, you don't need to rush. Why are you rushing? Even if you complete your DS260 the first day, if you're 100,000, you're not going to get a visa. Why? Because all these people with low case numbers have to be given an opportunity to interview. So either they don't show up, they don't process the DV lottery, some don't even realize they won. So once those people are given an opportunity, and then either they don't show up or for whatever reason, we still have more visas, then they will get to you. But then they cannot interview somebody with a case number of 70,000 before they interview somebody with a case of 2,000 in the same region. If you have like, the regions are different. Like if you are in Oceania and maybe you are 2,000 and somebody in Africa has 2,000, then it's different because somebody with a 2,000 in Oceania is a very high case number, but somebody with a 2,000 is a low case number in Africa. So if you're dealing with the same region, Africa, a lot of my followers are Africa, then you have 70, 60,000, 50,000. Why are you rushing to complete the DS260? Like right now, I haven't looked at the visa bulletin, but it's not verified. I don't think it's The last time I checked it was 35,000. I don't know if it's still there. I haven't looked. But you have to check. So after you complete your DS260, what next? You complete your DS260, you submit it. If you have a wife and a spouse, and children in there, you have to complete their DS260 too. So it's different form. It's the same form within your form. They'll be added to that form, and they'll have their own DS260s in there that you can print out. Once you print those out, you'll need them at the embassy. Some embassies ask you for them, some embassies don't. So you just take them. If they want them, they can have them. If they don't, So the last page usually has a barcode. So you need that for your embassy. Some embassies will not even ask for it. So that's about the DS260. After you complete the DS260, what next? You complete the DS260, and then your eyes will be watching the visa bulletin. You just go type visa bulletin DV lottery. Go all the way down. You'll see DV lottery categories and visas. So the number that's there, let me see if I can pull it up. Hold on one second. DV lottery. Hold on. I'm trying to maybe go to present, right? Slides. Damn, I forgot. How do you bring up a page? No. Anyhow, let me try, see if I can add this page here. So you just type visa bulletin and then DV lottery, and make sure it's the current year. So let's say 2025, because 2026 is not out yet. So you can type visa bulletin, visa bulletin DV lottery 2025. You will get them. And then let me see. I don't know if I can. I don't know how to share. I forgot. I haven't been here in a hard minute. Let's see. Let me see how to share this. So share. Give me 1 second. Share screen, I think. And then, so let's look at that. If you're looking at that, so that's a visa bulletin. If you type a visa bulletin, it's going to bring you to this page here. So we just say April 2025. So you go all the way at the bottom. You see all this, go all the way until you get over here. So diversity immigrant visa here, category for the month of April. So for April, the cutoff is 30,000. You see this number here? 30,000. So this 30,000, it means anybody with 30,000 or less was eligible to be interviewed in April. And then if you go down, it's 35,000 for May. So for next month, anybody with the 35,000 in Africa can get interviewed or can get 2NLs and be eligible for an interview at the embassy. Asia, you see 65,000, 16,000 for Europe. But then look at North America. Look at, it's 20. So in North America, if your case number is 100, that's a very high case number. And look at Oceania, like 1,015.50 for the month of May. So you see all these numbers are different. That's why I told you, like if you're checking a visa bulletin, you have to check your visa bulletin per your region. So if you're in Africa, look at this part. If you are in whatever other Europe, you have to look at this part. Europe, like UK, is 16,000. So you have to look at your region. So that's how you look at the visa bulletin. So how do you look at the visa bulletin? So if it's 30,000, like you say, April was 30,000, right? April is almost ending. So forget about it. So if you're 30,000, it means like if you're at any embassy, they can send you 2NL and then you can be scheduled. But then that's how embassy performance comes in after that. So you need to go to my video and watch the video I did DS260, how embassy performance affects when you get scheduled. Because you can be current on the visa bulletin, but your embassy is not scheduling you because they have poor performance. That's another thing. So you see somebody who was 100,000 case number in Africa, DV 2025, right now they're not even being close to like being current on the visa bulletin for 100,000. So that's why I said, like, if your case number is high, there's no point to complete the DS260 right away, because you have to look at the visa bulletin. Once you're not current, if you see a number, if it says 60,000 and you're 50,000, you know, oh, I'm current, I can be scheduled. But if you do not see 60,000, it's 20,000, and you are 50,000, you're not going to be scheduled. You'll just be there waiting. So that's about the visa bulletin. Let me see. Any questions? Let me see the TikTokers here. If you're TikTok, you have a question, you can send me a request. Let me, yeah, somebody's asking when the results are coming out. The results are coming out on May 3rd, which is Saturday, this Saturday. Few days to go. I know you guys are anxious. Let's see this. My baby was born November 2025. So this is not an issue as long as you did not include this kid in the application. If you win, you just include them in the application, and then you can just say, put their new birth certificate, and we'll show up with the birth certificate at the embassy. So if they were born, like I said, if they have a baby daddy who's not your husband, you still need consent from them. Whoever the dad is, they need consent before you can travel with them. So what if you don't have marriage certificate while your partner is in another country while you won? Do you need to fill? So with the DS260, you don't need to upload any documents. For the DS260, you don't need, even DV Lottery, they ask for your picture. In the DS260, they don't even ask for the picture. Everything you type in. So you're not going to upload your marriage certificate. You're not going to upload any documents. What you're just going to upload, what you're going to do is just complete it by hand, typing everything in, and then you submit it. When you go to the embassy, that's when you take your, and not need to upload anything on the DS260. All right. So somebody asked me about, let me remove this. Somebody asked me about documents that you need to go to the embassy with. So I'm going to do that next. Let me do, let me just talk about documents, and then I think I'll be done for the day. So for the documents, if you go to nafulaconnect.com, there's my link over there on TikTok. If you go to nafulaconnect.com and then go to DV Lottery Winners Resource. So I'm going to share that screen again. Let me share it. How do I do that? All right. Stop screen and then do this. Let me start over. All right. I think now it's going to share. So go to nafulaconnect.com. If you go to nafulaconnect.com, has very good resource. If you are a DV Lottery winners and you haven't visited my website, I don't know what you're waiting for, because most of the questions you can just get the answers on my website. So go to nafulaconnect.com, and I said up top for DV Lottery winners only, because a lot of people who are here on marriage, they're coming on marriage, green card, other green cards, they were bombarding me with a lot of questions on stuff on the website. So this is specific for green card lotteries only. So you go to nafulaconnect.com, and it said required documents during interview. And I said Kenya because I'm from Kenya. And another thing, Kenya requires a lot of stuff. That's why I used Kenya, because it's more documentation than other embassies. So to prepare, first you have to label all your documents, arrange them. So when they ask you, okay, where's your, let me change here. Hold on, when they ask you like, where's your school documents? You're not fumbling and stuff like that. Let me go this way. Yeah, so that's a little bit bigger. Yeah, so they ask you about documents. You see like this on the website, it just says the documents you need to prepare, you have to label. So when they ask you, this is school documents, this is my kids' documents, this is the marriage certificate, label all documents. So when you're going there, you're not fumbling and losing stuff. Because a lot of people, they are anxious, at the embassy. So for the principal applicant, principal applicant means is the person who applied and won. Everybody who's under that person, the wife and the kids are derivatives. The principal applicant is the person who applied, and that's the person who won. That's the person who checks the confirmation number to get in the DS260. That's the principal applicant. You need a birth certificate. First, you need a birth certificate and a copy. So you need the original and the copy. You need academic documents for your high school. If you're in Kenya, you have to get them verified online, and you can bring a physical copy to your interview. Make sure whatever you have a copy. So if they take that copy, because if they take those documents, you never get them back. So make sure you have a copy. So if they want KCSE, you just give them KCSE certificate. You need police clearance. Police clearance, you need police clearance if you lived in a country for more than 6 months. How you'll get it, I have no idea. If you say you are illegal in a country and then they're sending me a restriction again. What did I do? I don't know what I'm doing on TikTok. Please stop the screen. They send me a restriction again. So if you lived in a country for more than 6 months, you have to check with that country. Saudi Arabia, like Juma had to fly to Saudi Arabia to go get police clearance. So he went to the embassy, interview. They gave him the visa. They said, you're not going to print the visa or issue it until you bring the clearance. So he had to take a flight, go to Saudi Arabia, get police clearance, fly back to Tanzania before he was issued the visa. So that's police clearance. You need that. Any country that you've lived for more than 6 months, country of birth, and if you go somewhere, as long as it's more than 6 months, don't come asking, okay, I was working here and then I got in trouble and then now I ran away. They don't care. Do you have police clearance? That's what's important. I don't know how you get it. You need that. Marriage certificate. If you're a church, either whatever, it needs to be a legal document. If you have a divorce support, you just make sure you have to go to the AG and get a marriage certificate. You need a passport, travel passport. If you renewed your passport, you need your old passport and the new passport together at the embassy. So sometimes they ask for the old passport. If you lost it, then you can explain. And then you have IOM medical certificate. So that's like if you go for the interview, whatever they give you, and then they will send the results to the embassy as well. So you need that. And then you need 2 passport size photos. So the just like the photo that you used for DV lottery, you need a passport for that as well. So you need 2 colored passports, 600 by 600, those ones like exactly as it was on the DV lottery application. That's the passports they usually need. And it has to be in color. And then that's for the principal applicant. So that's that. So if you're married, you need a birth certificate and a copy of your spouse. You need a KCSE, but it's not a must. Like if your spouse is not educated, they don't care about that. Your spouse will need police clearance if she lives anywhere or he lives somewhere for more than 6 months. Marriage certificate, you need that. You need a travel passport as well, IOM medical certificate, and 2 size passports. That's for your wife. And then your children, same thing. Birth certificate, if they completed high school, you need their KCSE. They don't care though. Just the principal applicant needs to have it. The other ones, they don't care. If they live somewhere else and they are 16 years older and above, like if they were 16 and they lived in a country for more than 6 months, they need police clearance. IOM medical certificate, travel passport, IOM, I did that twice, and then a passport size photo, so that 2 by 2. And then what letters you need to bring? You need to bring the first notification letter. What is that? When you win the green card lottery, there's a letter that comes over there that says, oh, you've randomly selected whatever, with a case number at the bottom. That's the first notification letter. Print that out, because some embassies, for some reason, they want that. If you don't have it, it doesn't make a difference. It won't harm you. 2NL. 2NL is the second notification letter that they sent you. So usually they will notify you in the email, and then you go click, and then there's notification letter, second notification letter with all the instructions about what you need to bring to the embassy, if you need abductive support and all that. Second notification letter. And then the third, you need a DS260 printout of the last page. So that's about notification letters. Host documents. You need I-134 or I-864. I discourage people from, completing I-864 because it's legally binding. Go with the I-134. That's all you need. So for DV lottery winners, I-134, you'll need completed. So your host has to complete the form. I'm going to put an attachment on this video, on this live video. If you go on my YouTube, you're going to have an attachment of the I-134. They need to complete that. But the last page, they need to print it out and make sure you sign it, a wet signature. They sign it and then they can scan and send it to you. So they need to provide you with that. Second, they need copy of the IRS transcripts. That's like filing taxes. So 1040, or they need the tax transcripts. They need to send that to you. I prefer tax transcripts because they don't have a lot of your information. The 1040 usually has like a ton of your information and everything else. But tax transcripts are a little bit, they don't have a lot of the private information. And then lastly, they need a copy of the passport or a green card to prove that this person is either a legal resident or a United States citizen. So that's host documents. So if this is just like others that I put in here. If you are in the military, here you have to have a certificate from the military. You must bring along also your military records, because if you worked in the army, sometimes they process your DS-260 differently. If you worked in the army, they know you have like combat skills, you know how to shoot. So they have to make sure like you are not discharged dishonorably or anything like that. If you worked in the military before. If you've ever been deported, you have to include your deportation paperwork. All documents, if you're from Tanzania, you speak Swahili, all documents you submit to the to the embassy, they have to be in English or with an English translated. So if you're in Arabic countries, they have to be translated into an English version, all documents that you submit there. If you change your name, for example, you applied and maybe if you change your name, you got married and you took your husband's name, you don't need a sworn name affidavit, because you can just prove the marriage. And then if you have a marriage certificate and you took the last name, that's pretty obvious. But then if I decided like my name, I'm going to change from Nafula, I'm going to change each and every name, you have to have or if you're using different names, maybe your passport has a different name, school documents has a different name, birth certificate has a different name, you have to bring a sworn name affidavit that says all these people are this one person. So that's in those cases. Children of single parents, you need a notarized travel document consent letter and a copy of ID from the spouse. And it shows that that spouse agrees for you to travel with this kid. If you have sole custody and you have paperwork from court, then you do not need, pretty much, for the most part, you don't need a consent letter. All right. And then if you're divorced, again, divorce document. And then if you're widowed, you need a death certificate. Required immunizations. I don't know if I should talk about this or this one can be in the... Okay, so I'm going to be quick. So immunization required for immigrant visa abroad. So I put a list of immunizations here. There's tetanus, pertussis, polio, measles, mumps, rubella, rotavirus, hepatitis A, B, whatever, varicella. So I put a lot. I put like all of them per different embassies, so that one of them is going to be in this one. But when you go to your medical, usually they tell you what immunizations you need. And if you were immunized, like, for something when you were younger, you can just take a copy of that immunization record, and that way you don't pay more. So if you're not immunized, they'll give you immunization and you pay more. If you have the immunization, a copy, it will bring your cost down. So that's about immunizations. Medical examination, like if you go to my website, nafulaconnect.com, I've put a link. In Kenya, the medical examination are conducted at IOM. And then let me click the IOM, and then you will see, let me go there because I have to do again, present. Let me remove this and add another one. What did I do? I don't know what I did. Stop screen. Okay, there you go. All right, let me share this. So if you're in Kenya, if you're looking at the screen, you'll see the website for IOM. So that's the website for IOM, and you can find it. A link is on my website. If you go, and then you'll see health services, and then it tells you do not pay any service fee to individuals, like everything that you need, like scam alert and everything is on there. So you can click on their page, and then there's a phone number here. If you need to schedule or you have any questions, there's a phone number and their email there. Do not be scammed. So that's IOM. Let me go back. Let me do that. Let me go back to the website again. Green card there. Yeah, so that's the back to the medical examination and stuff that you need for IOM. What is it? I have so many tabs open. Yeah, so that's that. And then it tells you also, like I put a link to a lot of things on this website. So if you go to if you want to learn about tuberculosis, you click on this link, the blue, if I clicked on this, it will bring me to the website that talks about it. Mental health issues, vaccination, gonorrhea, syphilis, leprosy, whatever. Mental abnormality, like for example, if you have maybe you're schizophrenic and you've tried to kill a couple of people, so you're not going to get a visa. You have a mental issue and you're a danger to other people or danger to yourself, so you're not going to get a visa. So there's some things, or if you're on drugs, they test your urine and then you have cocaine, you have all these drugs in there, then you might not get a visa. So make sure you go and click and check on that. And I put relevant links at the bottom. And then also, you see like all this information I put there on my website is Kenya. So if you're a different country, go all the way at the bottom. You see I put interviews. You can see Rumbi from Zimbabwe. Just listen to whatever story she has. And then Haruna was in Abu Dhabi. And then Juma was in Tanzania. Geoffrey was in Nairobi. Michael was in Ghana. So you can just look at those interviews and then, yeah, so you can look at those interviews and then just see what embassy you are at, and then you can just see what the process is over there. And somebody's like, do you go to the interview with a marriage certificate and children's birth certificate? Yes. No, if you're not immigrating with them, you still need to bring to prove you're married. Because if you applied as married, you need a proof of like marriage, right? If you added kids, you need proof that these are your kids. So you'll need to bring the marriage certificate and birth certificate as much as you're not immigrating with them. So that's that. Do I need clearance for a kid who was 2 years? No, unless they're 16 years and above. 2 years, you don't need police clearance. All right, let's see. What is this? Somebody's asking, like, if the kids don't have passports, what do you do with the DS-260? I already talked about the DS-260. All right, I think, what is this? So somebody's like, on initial application, I have a stepdaughter with my girlfriend from a previous relationship, and I'm asking how to cater for her in the DS-260 to the interviews without rushing to marry her mother. You don't need to marry her mother. No, you said stepdaughter. So yes, you need to marry her. You need to be married to her mother before you apply. So I hope you did not include the stepdaughter. But if you want to include this stepdaughter, this is not your stepdaughter unless you marry the mother or until you marry the mother. So you have to get married to the mother. Then you can add the stepdaughter to your application. But if it's like you're another kid that you got with another wife, then you can add them without marrying the mother. But if it's a step, then you have and must marry the mother. And you have to have married the mother before you applied. Because if you added this kid and you are not married, my friend, if you win, that goes. Like that, your chance is gone. So somebody is like, okay, if you applied as single and then you got pregnant and you're not legally married, will she be denied a visa? USA, they don't care. USA is one of those countries, they don't care about immorality over here. You have people do whatever they want. They walk naked if they want. There's a beach over here where you can go and take off all your clothes, father, mother, and the kids, and walk around and nobody cares. So nobody's going to care how you got pregnant. You won the green card lottery, you show up, you're pregnant, nobody's going to ask you who is the father for this child. No. They just, do you have your high school? All right. Do you have all these documents, minimum requirements? Yes. Once you have those, then you get a visa. So they don't care. They don't care. So if you're pregnant, no worry about it. All right, let's see. Do you assist filing DS-260? I do assist filing DS-260. The FW support I don't provide as much as I used to because it's just too many people. So I provide, but like on just case-by-case basis. I don't just provide it all the time. All right, let's see. Can you change your surname? Somebody's asking. Yeah, you can change your surname. If you get married and you want to change it, you can change it. and then you can just show up with a marriage certificate. But if that surname is unrelated to your marriage, then you need sworn name affidavit for that. Somebody's asking if your documents are laminated. Some embassies accept laminated documents. Some embassy are a little iffy about it. So you have to just check with your embassy. And I think any questions? Let me pull up a few questions and then I can end this live. Let me just do 2 people maybe. All right, while we wait for them to come up, let me see here. What if you don't add your children or married status, just wrote as single? How long will it take for someone to bring the children? If you applied and you didn't add those children, especially with this current administration, you try to bring those kids here and you didn't add them in the initial application, they find out that you'll get deported because you obtained the visa by lying. So if you didn't add the kids, I'm like, now I won't risk it. Before, people are getting away with that. Now they will, the way they're looking at every little thing in your immigration case, that can get you. Don't add the kids. If you didn't bring them, forget about them. Because like that can come back to bite you. So don't risk. Do support with money after someone so somebody pretty much is asking, like, if you win the green card, can I help them process their visa? And I've talked, like, if you follow me on YouTube and on TikTok and YouTube, you've heard me say this multiple times. DV lottery winners are the most ungrateful people you can ever host in the United States. I can tell you that as a DV lottery host. Ask anybody who's hosted DV lottery winner. They will tell you they're the most ungrateful people. Why? Because other people come with different visas. They struggle. When they get the green card, they know how it feels to struggle. They know the system. So they're more appreciative of if you give them help because they know how it feels to have no help. But DV lottery winner, when they land here, they get a job, they get a green card, they know that they can, now they don't need you. They can become very, 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 I don't know. They can be very, I don't even want to say it. But like, in other words, what I'm saying, Joseph, if I give you my money to come to America, once you land here, paying me that money, I'll have to hunt you down. A lot of them, they don't pay. And I say, we help people once they're in America. Once you're in Africa, you have African people around you. Have your MP. Do you have a member of parliament? Do you vote every year? Go find them. You go to church, you have your pastor. Go to your pastor and say you want your green card, you're going to America. Let them help you with the money. If you have to sell land to get a ticket, sell that land. You come here, you pay back. A lot of DV lottery winners here, they got a loan from somewhere. And then now they come here, they work. They'll pay back the loan because that loan, they put something as security, like their house, their land. But if I give you my money, you come here, you don't pay me back. First, I lend you the money when you're in Africa. Now you're different. This is international law, which US doesn't like. They're like, we don't know the laws that apply there. If you're here and I give you my money, you don't give me back, I can tell you, take it to small claims court or do something. When you're in Africa, it's a little bit different. So usually, and then I feel like for DV lottery winners, if you let them hustle and get that money and come over here, they will appreciate the struggle. But if you just give them the money here, then they don't appreciate. They won't appreciate. So no, I do not support people who are outside the country because I know for a fact, even if you're poor and you want to come to America, put a harambe and say you're going to America, people will donate because they know you're coming to America. They don't know if you're going to help them next year or you'll help them with the kid or whatever. They will come through for you, even if you're poor. Even go to Facebook and say, I want green card, I don't have money, please help. You'll see people donate from over there. So let those people help you while over there. And then when you come here and you need help, I'll pick up from there. But I cannot help people in the United States and you expect me to help people back home in Africa. I cannot do that. I can only do one. All right. Yeah, mosque. Somebody's asking about mosque. Yeah, we have mosques in New York, but here is not, they're not as, you know, in Africa, you have mosque and then when it's like 4 p.m. or whatever time, and you say, oh, and then there's a speaker with somebody saying a prayer. You'll never hear that in America, never. You wouldn't even know where the mosque is. So you'll have to ask people or Google or whatever. You wouldn't even know. It doesn't look like a mosque. It's not like obvious the way in Africa you just know this is a mosque. No. So yes, we have them, but you'll have to look for them. So the premium package that I put for 150, that's for the DS260. If you need me to help you with the DS260, because when I help you with the DS260, usually I make sure that you're completing things correctly. Like I'm like, okay, send me your high school documents. Let me look at them. Send me this so that I know when you go to the embassy, you have 100% chance of getting a visa unless there's something you hid from me. So I'll make sure like I review everything, your case and everything, to make sure you have everything that you need. So that's the premium package, because I have to look at your stuff. But if you just want the address, that's cheap. All right. If you file as unmarried, what next? I don't know what you mean by what next. I don't know. Yeah, I already talked about if you got married and then after you applied. If a man applied as single, somebody's like, talk about a man who applied as single but with children. If they are your biological children, you're fine. You just add them to the DS260 and then you get consent from the mother and then you can bring them. No biggie. But if you added them and they're not yours, about hosting and the cost, I said, you'll tell me what you want and I'll tell you the price. Let's see. Anything else? TikTok. I pulled somebody up here. They didn't say a word. All right. And that's my website on TikTok, nafulaconnect.com. If you want to go and look at what the requirements for the embassy, I talked about them over there. All right.
Hello, Nafula.
Hi, what's your question?
My question is, what if I find myself pregnant and I see myself being selective? What should I do?
Like I just talked about it like 30 minutes ago, not even 30, 20 minutes ago. So this video is on YouTube. So it's going to be under my YouTube live. So you'll just go and click on the YouTube live and then you can watch it. I just answered that like I extensively answered it. So let's go to the next person because that's already answered. Let's see. Let me see. Let me get just a couple questions and then I'm going to be done. I think I've been here 2 hours. That's way too long. All right. And then on YouTube, let's see. I have the examination for below 16 years. They do. So you have to make sure like you check with your embassy. Check with your embassy like if your kid needs, but most kids need it. Unless they are just newborn. But a lot of kids need that because they can have TB too. So usually check with your embassy and see. You tell them when they send you the 2NLs, when you schedule your medical, call them and see you have kids and if they cannot schedule them or not. All right. This person is not talking, so we'll go to the next person. If you come up, you just say something and then let's see. I think YouTube, people on YouTube, I think we are good because on YouTube, let's see. I think YouTube. All right. What's your question?
Oh, and also, thank you, streaming from Cameroon. So I wish to ask a question. Is DNA necessary? Yeah, sorry for my voice. Is DNA necessary when filling, or do they ask? Is it, a compulsory, is it compulsory to do DNA when you are?
Yeah, I see. So with the DNA, this like I cannot say for a fact. Why? Because some embassies will make you do DNAs and some embassies won't. There's a situation where we had somebody, was it in Ghana? I think it was. They went with 3 kids and stuff like that, and they made them do a DNA or something. So you don't know if they'll ask you for it or not. For the most part, they don't, but because you have a birth certificate. If you have a birth certificate and it shows both parents and, sometimes that's enough. But some embassy, if they suspect there's something, embassy will not make you do something unless they suspect you're trying to cheat on something. So I cannot say no or yes because your situation might be different. So you just have to go there and see if they want a DNA. If they're your kids, you just do a DNA. But if they're on a birth certificate, usually DNA is not they don't make you do that for most embassies.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome. So let me disconnect that. Yeah, so how much do I charge to complete the DS to 60 is $150, and the package is on my nafulaconnect.com. Just go over there and do hosting packages, and then it's going to be over there. Do not pay for hosting or packages or anything until you apply for hosting. Apply for hosting first. When you go to the hosting packages, it tells you apply for hosting. Apply for hosting, look at the packages, and go home and think about it and make sure like you really want me to do either give you the address or the DS to 60, because there's no refunds. One, refunding is just like, it's just a lot of work. You get charged a lot of money. So you get charged when somebody pays, and then you get charged when they are refunded and stuff like that. So I don't pay unless you are 100% sure, because I keep my end of the deal. If you pay, I'm going to help you with the stuff. So if you don't keep your end of the deal, it says right at the bottom, no refunds. So if you pay and you don't want it, that's on you. So you have to make sure this is the service that you want before you pay for it. Somebody's asking, is it possible to change from high school to university degree level? Yes, you can do that. You can change, but they will still need your high school. So some people who have like, maybe they went to diploma school and they have a diploma, and then they don't have for college and they don't have diploma high school, they still need high school. The bare minimum requirement is high school. So whether you have other degrees, they don't care. As long as you show you have high school degree, then you're fine. And people on my YouTube, like I do videos all the time. I have videos on DS to 60. So everybody who follows me on YouTube, like literally, I'm repeating myself. They're just listening to me and they know all this information. People on TikTok are the ones that, because they don't follow me on YouTube and I don't do a lot of videos on TikTok. That's why they have a lot of questions. But yeah, so people on YouTube, usually they're pretty good. Let's get one. COVID certificate. Like I said, when you schedule for the medical, you'll find out if they need it or not. I'm not going to say it for 100%. So once you go to the medical, they'll tell you what you need. So don't worry about that. So that's that. Let me take a last one. Is it possible for you to be doing mock interviews in the lives? So I don't want to do mock interviews. You don't need that, because why? Everybody's story is going to be different. If they ask you, where did you go to school? You know where you went to school. If they ask you if you're married or not, you know if you're married or not. Every question they ask you at the embassy for DV lottery usually is the question about you, and you know the answer. So all those people who are getting denied visas, they are lying on whatever they're saying. They will not deny you a visa unless you're lying on something, or you don't provide necessary documentation, or maybe you don't have the I-134, stuff like that. But this is not like non-immigrant. Like I came as a student, and coming here as a student is very stressful. That's why when I got a visa as a student, I said, I'm never going back to that interview again. I'm never going back to that consulate. I'll do whatever I need to do to stay in the United States. So an immigrant visa is usually a lot. Immigrant visa, green card, this is the easiest. I'm telling you, DV lottery, you'll never get an easy interview like this. This is the easiest interview you'll ever do in your life. Sometimes you show up there, like Rumbi said, she showed up there, they ask you, have you ever been to Alaska? She said, oh yes, I used to work on a cruise. That's it. They didn't ask any other question. And you go somewhere, somebody will ask you, oh, do you have a girlfriend? No, I don't. Okay. Or do you have high school? Yeah, I have. And then that's it. Sometimes you just show up, they ask you one question and that's it. Because this is the easiest interview you can ever go to. Don't even stress about it. Just wake up, you have all the documents, show up. If they ask you, what are you going to do in America? I'll figure it out when I get there. I want to join the army. I want to go back to college. Well, no answer is wrong. So don't be worried about interview. When you go to just my website, nafulaconnect.com, look at the DV lottery winners resources. Check all those documents. Once you have those documents, usually documents are the ones that matter. Whatever they ask you does not matter unless you are lying. All right, my YouTube people, you guys are I know you know all this stuff. I'm just repeating myself, but thanks for sticking up. You've been with me for quite a while. I started almost like 2 and it's 4, almost 2 hours. So bye TikTok. Bye YouTube, guys. Let me do TikTok for like another 20 minutes and then I'll be out. All right, bye guys.